My name is Joan Chilke. Welcome back to Art in Your Ear, Mick. It's been a long time
Well,
since I've seen your smiling face on the other side of the console.
Fun.
You're doing a show called Unexpected Visions, Clouds, Moons, and Mandalas.
Yes.
Places you visit by seeing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was interested in. Places you visit by seeing. What?
Right. I know. It's like just any kind of art, really. I mean, it's the mandalas are going to take you to a different place, which I think sometimes that's what they're about. And as far as making them, I mean, that's kind of the fun part, at least for me. I don't know. Well, the monks that make the mandalas, they are like really focused into certain iconography, but they're also dealing with the colors and things like that. And I think that's what that's maybe one of the aspects of the mandala. But I was this series.
Wait, hang on a second.
Let's take a phone call.
Let's take a phone call. Let people know that what we're talking about is an art show that you've got opening up at Weedon Island tomorrow, and there's a reception and an artist talk tomorrow afternoon between 1 and 3. And you said you're going to talk around 1:30. And though a lot of people know you for doing sculpture work and metal work, and stuff like that, aluminum works. Mm-hmm. This is all of it two-dimensional.
Yes.
It's all two-dimensional drawings and stuff like that. So
right.
Though it may not be a departure for you as an artist, a departure, I think, as an audience,
right.
that your audience is used to.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the air. We can't answer the phone.
Yeah, I'm talking. But I do have, on some of the pieces, I have a little aluminum wire pieces that hang down. They're little kinetic pieces.
Uh-huh.
And the shapes of those wire pieces are relating to the lines in some of the drawings. So that was kind of interesting. It's like, I'm not really consciously thinking about that, but when I start and I look back and I go, oh yeah, look at these little wire things, how that matches up with the lines on the drawings where the studies that I was working on. So.
And when you were doing these drawings, a lot of the drawings have a sense of sort of being otherworldly or out of space. When I was looking at them and I was looking at some stuff online, that they were they in a very sort of one deviation or two deviations away reflect the nature that's at Weedon Island. And it's such a great place to show art because it's got these huge windows. So you see the art, and then you also see the nature, behind it interacting. So you have sort of like, there's some nature that's completely reimagined. And I was wondering if you use the same process in creating these two-dimensional works as that you were in using your sculptures, because your sculptures are all pretty abstract.
Their structures
and
right.
they sort of represent something, but not directly. You have to sort of live with it for a while before you start,
discover
figuring
what
it out.
Is. Like, driving over here, I was thinking I did a cloud piece in the back out of aluminum, and I did this probably 8 years ago or something with the names of some of the people at WMNF, but they're clouds, and I forgot about that. I said, oh yeah, I did a clouds piece out of aluminum structure and to hang on the wall, and then here I'm looking at the clouds again and doing the pastel colors. I actually look at the work, look at the clouds, and try to translate them to the paper. But there is sometimes there's a step in between where I get to think about them, or I get to like interpret, how do I get this blue? How do I get this space in there? As much as I'm doing the round mandala where I'm letting myself go with the colors and the space and the designs and shape. And sometimes something appears out of it, or you get a mood. You get a mood. So.
Yeah, and traditionally, or not traditionally, but your work is aluminum, and you're not known for using color in your work. It's pretty much aluminum colored.
Yeah, I like the aluminum. It reflects the
I wore metallic sandals for you. See?
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah.
That kind of hurt just doing that. But I'm glad it's not TV. And so you have these bursting with colors, absolutely bursting with colors, and not any type of, the palette is very broad in how you use them. I mean, everything is, though, like a little bit off the standard color too.
Right,
so that's a red-ish, and that's that green is sort of not normal.
As unconscious as it might be, though, I'm selecting one green, and then I go, wait, no, that's not the green. I want this, and I put the other green next. I go, no, that's the color I want. So as much as I'm trying to let myself go consciously of selecting colors, there's still this decision-making process that's ongoing that I'm not trying to get away from it, but I'm trying to just let myself go with the colors. And the one that's so unconscious was that snake mandala that I drew the snake in there. Do you see this one?
Yeah, the mandala space snake.
And I didn't even know it was a snake until somebody else we were talking about. I said, well, what about the snake in there? And I go, it was like a ribbon or something. I wasn't really
Right.
trying to identify it, but then there was a snake head on there, and I'm like, oh my God, it is a snake.
But isn't that sort of a purpose that we've, I think, appropriated in a way from monks and stuff like that about the mandalas, is using them as a spiritual exercise, even though we may not follow exactly their entire spiritual path. We do use some of their tools for our own spiritual exercises.
We're all storytelling. We're all storytelling. We're all reading the same picture or the same life, and we're telling our own story. Yeah, it's everybody has their own story, and this is just one. And even by looking at the mandala or some of these other images that people engage in, they tell their own story. It's like, I'm not giving you anything specific. I don't want to tell you this story directly. I want it to be kind of spiritually driven, I think.
And I want to remind listeners, I'm speaking with Mick Knight. He's got a show opening at the Weeden Island tomorrow.
Natural Preserve.
It's over at Weeden Island. It's in the mangroves. No, and then that's up for, how long is that going to be up there
Almost,
for?
about
2 months. Yeah, 3 months until the end of July.
They have limited hours, Thursday through Saturday.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
But how did it happen how did you end up hooking up with? I mean, that's not your. They have had art shows, and we've done interviews with artists there before, but that's not sort of your traditional place to show. Where people think, I'm going to go show at Weeden Island.
I know it's interesting that John Gerback's had a show there, and I went out to see his opening and his works there, and then they and I talked about possibly showing some of these works that I was working on, the pastel drawings, that they're relating to colors and environment and their windows and landscapes and all these different things. And I talked with Phyllis out there and showed her some of the work, and she thought it'd fit in, and I was real happy to be able to work into that environment out there. So
now, have you been doing the pastels and the drawings all along, or is this something new? Or?
No, I did pastels a long time ago, and I've it's kind of like watercolors. I've done some watercolors. I've even taught watercolors on the college level, where to try to let people go and let the students play intuitively, and you go through some color theory, and then have objects to focus on, and let people paint them as best they can or interpret them as best they can. So the colors, I've taught design work, color theory, and all the academics and things like that, and I've even run some of the mandala studies with the students, where I talk about the spiritual, and they can read online nowadays. You can just go online and find out all sorts of information. It's like, how can you play with it? Let's bring out the colors, the paints, and draw a circle, and then use that as a playing field, and let yourself go on the playing field with colors and things like that, and see what happens.
Well, that's what I think in definitely in this work, and if people are listening and you're by a computer, you can go online to Mick's website, and it is Mick, M-I-C Knight, or M-I-C Key, then M-I-C-K Knight, or however you want to do it, MICKNIGHT.com, and he's got a really funny little thing for art in your ear. You're such a goof. And then, but other things up there, and you can look at his artwork and see some of this stuff. And when I think of a mandala, I think of usually a very traditional, in a way, round, symmetrical or purposely asymmetrical thing. And these aren't these. These start with a fulcrum and then seem to